The year is 2026. The House of Windsor, that ancient, formidable institution, finds itself in uncharted territory. Not a battlefield, not a political crisis, but something far more insidious. A crisis of legitimacy. The carefully constructed narrative surrounding Archie Mountbatten Windsor and Lilibet Mountbatten Windsor, the children of Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, has been shattered. Shattered by the very institution that once sought to protect it. Buckingham Palace, in a move that reverberated across the globe, released irrefutable DNA evidence pertaining to the two young children. The implications were immediate, brutal, and threatened to unravel the already frayed threads connecting Harry and Meghan to the royal family. The whispers, the doubts that had dogged Meghan since her first pregnancy had exploded into a full-blown inferno. Let's rewind. Let's go back to the fairy tale. Meghan, the American actress, swept off her feet by a real-life prince, a modern romance for a modern era. But fairy tales, as we know, often conceal darker truths. From the very beginning, Meghan's pregnancies were shrouded in secrecy, inconsistencies that fueled an already skeptical press and public. Archie's birth, in particular, raised eyebrows. The official narrative painted a picture of a whirlwind delivery at the Portland Hospital in London, followed by a swift return to Frogmore Cottage. But Harry himself, in his tell-all memoir Spare, inadvertently cast doubt on this timeline. He wrote of being back at Frogmore within 2 hours of Archie's arrival. 2 hours! For a first-time mother recovering from childbirth, that seemed impossible. The palace's subsequent announcement that Meghan was in labor hours after Archie was supposedly born only deepened the confusion. The sequence of events felt deliberately scrambled, a clumsy attempt to conceal something. And then there was the matter of Archie's delayed public debut. While other royal newborns were paraded before the cameras within hours, Archie remained hidden for 2 days. Why the delay? What were they hiding? Lilibet's birth in California only amplified the speculation. The Sussexes had already severed ties with the royal family, relocating to Montecito. Every decision was scrutinized, every silence interpreted as a deliberate act of deception. The lack of transparency surrounding Lilibet's arrival only hardened suspicion. The rumors, fueled by online sleuths and conspiracy theorists, gained traction. Surrogacy was the word on everyone's lips. The claims were based on a pattern, a series of unanswered questions that the palace consistently refused to address. Until 2026. The release of the DNA evidence was a declaration of war, a calculated risk taken by an institution desperate to protect its lineage. The stakes were impossibly high. Royal succession hinges on legitimacy. An heir must be born of the body of a titled royal mother. If that condition is not met, the entire foundation of the monarchy could crumble. The palace's silence for years had allowed the rumors to fester, to grow into a monster that threatened to consume everything in its path. But why break that silence now? Why risk exposing 2 young children to such intense scrutiny? What could possibly justify such a drastic measure? The answer, perhaps, lies in the events that led to Harry and Meghan's dramatic exit from royal life. Their decision to walk away to forge their own path irrevocably altered their relationship with the institution. And that decision, it seems, has come back to haunt them. Money. That was the wedge, the unacknowledged elephant in the room. Harry and Meghan wanted financial independence, a concept utterly foreign to the gilded cage of royal life. They envisioned a hybrid model, part royal, part entrepreneur, a blurring of the lines that the palace simply couldn't tolerate. The Queen, a woman who dedicated her life to duty and tradition, drew a line in the sand. No half in, half out. Either you're a working royal, bound by the strictures of public service, or you're not. There was no room for negotiation, no compromise. And so, Harry and Meghan chose freedom. Freedom to earn, freedom to speak their minds, freedom to control their own narrative. But freedom comes at a price. And in their case, the price was exile. They traded Buckingham Palace for a Montecito mansion, royal duties for Netflix deals. They built a new life, a new brand, leveraging their royal connections to amass a fortune, and that's where the trouble truly began. The palace, accustomed to controlling every aspect of the royal image, watched in horror as Harry and Meghan rewrote the rules. They gave tell-all interviews, starred in documentaries, and aired their grievances for the world to see. They shattered the carefully constructed facade of royal youth, exposing the cracks and fault lines that had long been hidden. Meghan, in particular, became a lightning rod for criticism. Her every move was scrutinized, her every word dissected. She was accused of being ambitious, manipulative, and disrespectful of royal tradition. The British press, never particularly welcoming to outsiders, turned on her with a vengeance. But the seeds of this animosity were sown long before Megxit. Even during her brief tenure as a working royal, Meghan struggled to conform. She challenged protocol, she spoke her mind, she refused to be silenced. She was a modern woman thrust into an antiquated institution, and the clash was inevitable. The Vanity Fair interview, given before her engagement was even official, was a prime example. Royals simply don't comment on their personal relationships until the palace gives the green light. Meghan, however, couldn't resist. She declared her love for Harry, sending shockwaves through the royal establishment. Then there were the seemingly minor infractions that were blown out of proportion. Stepping into a car before the Queen, holding hands with Harry during public appearances. These may seem like trivial matters, but in the rigid world of royal protocol, they were seen as acts of defiance. And then there were the whispers, the anonymous sources who painted a less flattering picture of Meghan behind the scenes. She was described as demanding, difficult to work with, and overly concerned with her own image. Some even accused her of bullying palace staff, allegations she vehemently denied. The truth, as always, is likely more complex. Meghan is undoubtedly a strong-willed, ambitious woman. She is also a woman of color who faced relentless racism and prejudice from the moment she entered the royal family. Perhaps she was simply unwilling to tolerate the outdated customs and unspoken rules that governed royal life. Whatever the reason, her relationship with the palace deteriorated rapidly, and when she and Harry made the decision to leave, they unleashed a chain of events that would ultimately lead to the present crisis. The DNA bombshell. Now, Archie and Lilibet are caught in the crossfire. Their legitimacy is being questioned. Their future hangs in the balance. The palace, in its desperate attempt to protect the monarch, has sacrificed 2 innocent children. The question now is, what happens next? Can Harry and Meghan repair their relationship with the royal family? Is reconciliation even possible? Or are the wounds too deep, the resentments too strong? And what about Archie and Lilibet? Will they ever be accepted as full members of the royal family? Or will they forever be seen as outsiders, tainted by the controversy that surrounds their birth? The answers, it seems, are shrouded in uncertainty. The House of Windsor is at a crossroads, and the path it chooses will determine not only the fate of Harry and Meghan, but the future of the monarchy itself. Reconciliation, a fairy tale for fools. The chasm between Harry and his family is a gaping wound, festering with resentment and betrayal. His relationship with William, once the closest of bonds, now a cold, desolate wasteland. Kate, once a confidant, now a stranger. Charles, a father wounded by his son's public barbs. Harry's decision to spill the royal family's secrets in Spare was the ultimate act of defiance, a declaration of war that incinerated any remaining threads of trust. He laid bare the inner workings of the monarchy, exposing its flaws and vulnerabilities for the world to dissect. How could they ever forgive such a betrayal? And Meghan, her relationship with her own father, Thomas Markle, is a tragic saga of broken promises and shattered dreams. The staged paparazzi photos, the constant media intrusion, the endless cycle of recrimination. It's a toxic relationship beyond repair. Thomas, desperate for attention, willing to sell his daughter's secrets for a moment in the spotlight. Meghan, hurt and betrayed, cutting him off completely. Even his recent health crisis, the amputation of his leg, failed to bridge the divide. The silence between them speaks volumes, a testament to the deep and irreparable damage. He has never met his grandchildren, Archie and Lilibet. A heartbreaking reality, a symbol of the fractured family. The palace, meanwhile, remains steadfast in its silence. A spokesperson for the Duke and Duchess of Sussex dismisses the speculation as entirely unfounded, but the damage is done. The rumors persist, fueled by the palace's own action. What does the future hold for Archie and Lilibet? Will they grow up feeling like outsiders, forever marked by the controversies surrounding their birth? Will they embrace their royal heritage or reject it entirely? The choice ultimately will be theirs. Charles, the king, faces a difficult decision. He could issue a letters patent, formally stripping Archie and Lilibet of their title, severing their ties to the monarchy. A drastic step, but one that would appease the traditionalists, the guardians of royal purity. Or he could allow them to retain their titles, extending an olive branch, signaling a willingness to embrace change. But even if Archie and Lilibet are allowed to be prince and princess, will they ever truly belong? Will they ever be accepted by the British public, who have been fed a steady diet of anti-Meghan sentiment for years? The odds are stacked against them. Meghan and Harry have created their own world, a world of celebrity and wealth, far removed from the constraints of royal life. They have found happiness, or at least the appearance of it, in their Montecito mansion. But they have also lost something irreplaceable: their connection to family, to tradition, to their own history. The House of Windsor is a fortress, built on centuries of tradition and unwavering adherence to duty. But it is also a family, with all the complexities and dysfunctions that come with it. And like any family, it is capable of both great love and great cruelty. The saga of Harry and Meghan is a cautionary tale, a reminder that even the most powerful institutions can be brought to their knees by the forces of love, ambition, and the relentless pursuit of freedom. And in the end, it is the children, Archie and Lilibet, who will bear the burden of their parents' choices.